God damn it. Shit. Holy fuck, we're back. We're back with some buffering, and I massively appreciate your understanding on that because it's been very, very annoying for myself. Hey, turn that damn music down. We got many more important things to be going on over here. And of course, it is a Friday. In fact, it is a Friday, which means it's the last video of the week. In fact, I'm no longer going to be doing weekend videos. I might upload some shorts on the weekends, however, but I won't be doing weekend uploads for actually several reasons, but namely to conquer my own OCD. I see Hoy in the chats. He's saying penis, cock. Yes, indeed. We're all 5 years old again, and we like to yell penis jokes to each other when we're going through the supermarket. Fucking great, man. Fucking great. Yeah, apparently, or not apparently, but who was it in the chat? Someone in the chat said that they believed that it was their VPN. Then I realized, oh shit, I'm using a VPN. That's probably why the shit's buffering like crazy right now. And then I turned it off, and then things were all good in the hood yet again. Thank God for that. Thank you for that comment, and hopefully didn't piss off too many people in the interim. But yeah, we actually do have a lot of things to be speaking about. Tiggs89 says no weekend videos is the ultimate top signal. Wouldn't that be a bottom signal? Then again, who knows, man? Which side of this gay equation am I on? Am I top or bottom? Maybe I'm both. Maybe I'm neither. Who knows, man? Who knows? Yes, it was me. Thank you for that, Mr. HOY. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, no more lag now. Apologies about that. Usually having a VPN on actually doesn't make a difference, but it seems like today is just a different day. It's just a different day. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, you know, Bitcoin here on the weekly, we're going to see the closure for CME coming up later today in just under 15 hours. And this is going to be a big focus of today's video, of course. I mean, Bitcoin on the weekly looking really fucking powerful here on CME, assuming that I can just remain above 105,500. If we can do that, I mean, shit. Hard to make a bearish case of Bitcoin. You know, if Bitcoin does that by end of day, again, not for spot price action, but for CME. Got a long 15 hours left to go. And of course, today is going to have a big economic event, PCE data coming out later today. That is, of course, the Fed's preferred gauge for, you know, inflation, which is the big topic as usual. And well, markets will probably move. I mean, who knows what the data actually means? Who knows what the data actually says? Everyone will give you an explanation after the fact, but no one will tell you before, or at least they're guessing if they do. And at the end of the day, man, we shall know where price action is. VPN in North Korea. just one Korea in North Korea VPN. At Burger King, you can have both bottoms or tops. Ooh, I like where this one's going, man. Tell me more about this. Mickey says, "Oh shiz, the entire U.S. economy just downgraded. Guess what? We're gonna drop like four dough." Did it really get downgraded? I mean, I don't know if that stuff actually matters all that much, to be honest, but fair enough. SEI is trending relative strength, and it's not gay. Okay, well, look, I'm going to trust you on one shitcoin right here. I'm going to trust you just this one time. Okay, I read that out of the side of my eye. We're going to jump into it, but if it's bad, I'm already fucking warning you. I'm already warning you. Let's check out what SEI is doing. SEI crypto, is it leading? Is it strong? Yeah, super strong, man. Not only is it only 74% off of the current all-time highs, but it literally just had a rally into the next lower high. Amazing. Fucking phenomenal. Holy shit, man. I'm losing all kinds of money by not being in these shit coins. This thing's going to the moon and beyond. Fuck me, man. I'm not in SEI. Damn it. Fuck. Great chart, bro. Great chart. Yeah, love it. Absolutely fucking love it. The obsession with charts that go down will never cease to impress me. This thing can go up 2x from here, and it's still an absolute piece of fucking dog shit garbage. As are most things in this market. The longer that you stay in this market, the more and more that you realize there is only one. There is only one, and there's no second best. Or at least most of the time, that is true. You're mean and gay, says Madge. Fair enough. I'm definitely one of these things. The other one, well, I think I'm quite nice. Anyways, it sets the tone for the rest of the stream. I mean, look, man, the reason why we do these live streams is, of course, to get some community engagement and look at some of these shit coins. It's valuable for me to see, you know, are these shit coins still being shit, or are they showing some signs of life? This one obviously still being shit. I mean, dude, like you're popping up exactly to the area that you'd be expecting around your next lower high. It can rally a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine, man. Even if it gets up to 40 cents, it means absolutely fucking nothing. This thing is in a long-term macro downtrend. For fuck's sake, like, why do people, why? Fucking why? I would kindly request, why do people like this stuff? Is the goal to lose as much money as possible? Well, in that case, I love it. It's fucking great, man. Buy it all. Buy it all. Buy it to the moon and beyond. This is not financial advice. This is financial destruction. Tyler Hill says, Bitcoin is an ascending wedge. Never heard of him in my life. And Bitcoin is it in a descending wedge or not? I don't see. I mean, what time frame is he looking at? I don't see it. I see something over this. I guess is a descending wedge right here, but I don't know how much that one actually matters. I guess if anything, it's a descending channel. But now we're getting like too deep into the pattern bro terminology here. But fair enough, we shall, realistically, we're going to see where things close at for this weekly. And that's going to really judge like, hey, is this thing actually getting ready to break out to new all-time highs, or is this still just continuation of this one massive macro range that Bitcoin's been in for, I mean, pretty much the whole year? Realistically, Bitcoin's been sideways since December, right? I mean, we've seen nothing out of the major ordinary here, similar to what we saw back last year in 2024. Bitcoin spent like 7-8 months just going sideways within this range. Yeah, there were big moves within the range, but ultimately the range itself was not much more than what we've seen already. In fact, it's actually the exact same from high to low of that prior range from 2024. That was a 33% range. If we go off of the high to low from the most recent one, it's about just under 32%. So, is it really that much different? No. And in fact, in terms of timing, I don't think it's different at all. So the more and more that I look at this, the more and more I see just very obvious evidence that Bitcoin is changing its long-term macro behavior. We no longer see Bitcoin doing shit like this or shit like this or shit like this, with these massive parabolic blow-off tops. We're seeing Bitcoin move up in kind of these nice tranches and then spend a very long time going sideways and then doing the same thing again without these humongous, nasty, massive drawdowns. I mean, 30% is a big drawdown, obviously, but if you're thinking in terms of Bitcoin language, then that's all, not that much. I mean, in past bull markets, we've seen, drawdowns of like fucking 50%, and Bitcoin just eats it up, for breakfast. It seems like it's crazy shit. But as Bitcoin does mature, as Bitcoin, acts more and more like an ETF, because it has an ETF, I think that this is just going to continue here. And so if and when a bear market does occur, which naturally it will over some period of time, I don't think that we're going to get the same drawdowns that we've seen in past markets. I don't think it's going to be even remotely close, to be honest with you. The past drawdowns for past bear markets have already been decreasing, but I think that whole equation has been massively expedited with Bitcoin going legit, getting ETFs, now getting support from the most powerful nation in the world, at least as of this time. Maybe that changes in the not so distant future. But yeah, as far as Bitcoin goes, I mean, we've seen this multiple times this whole cycle, right? We saw it back in 2023. Bitcoin spent how long going sideways? I think it's been about 6-7 months as well. Let's just measure it out right here from, what was it, March all the way to October. Yeah, so that's 7 bars, or 214 days. So 7 bars within this range, breaks it on the 7th. So that's 7 months. If we go to the one after that in, of course, 2024, you got 8 bars onto the breakout, and then thus far in 2025 we have 6 bars. So does July or maybe August try for an actual mega massive breakout to new highs above this range? I think that's likely what it's shaping up to be. In fact, July seems like it could be a pretty good month. I'll do a full-on July statistics breakdown probably. Oh shit, I should have done that. Well, I'll do that on Monday. Well, whatever. But more important to the point here, Bitcoin's now done its time. It's been in price action jail, and it's done its time. And well, I mean, if we're going to see a move, I think July and August make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Music Miracle says, recall 3 years ago, summer and the price action. Y'all remember that? Wow, so horrible. 3 years ago was 2022. Yeah, I remember that Bitcoin was somewhere around like $20,000. Spent most of the summer around there. Then had the final drop off, in what was it, October/November for the FTX finale, right? Exactly. Marcus, read my mind. Maturity at least from. Wait, what the fuck is going on over here? All right, Prickly Peppy has 1 million emoticons. He says 109,450. Quarterly candle close at the end of month is my favorite look right now. Yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin can close a quarterly as like a legitimate bullish engulfing, which it will above the number that you just quoted, or actually it's 109,354 if I want to put up my finger and say, excuse me, actually it's $100 lower than what you just said, you dumb fuck. Then yeah, I mean, that would technically be right. But closing something like this on a quarterly anyways, I look at that as pretty good, man. It makes me very much look forward to new all-time highs in Q3. So, that lines up quite well with July, August, obviously, as those are in Q3. But keep in mind, we're also going to be seeing the 6-month timeframe close. And what's interesting to me here is that Bitcoin has actually been riding this upper boundary on the price action pivots since 2021. And that actually has accurately gotten the highs in 2024 and in 2025 thus far. So if we follow that same trajectory into the back half of 2025, I mean, technically that wouldn't actually be putting Bitcoin much higher, at least, to the levels that I think a lot of Bitcoin bulas are hoping for. This would be just under $118,000, to be fair. Now, if I do put this on log scale and adjust the price action pivots for log scale as well, let me do that really quickly here. I don't like typically keeping it on log scale, just so you know, but I will do it for a moment. Where is my... Oh God, I'm blind right now and I can't see it. Where is it? Oh my God. I feel like such a fucking redact right now. No, that's not it. Where is it? Jesus, I feel like a fucking idiot. I can never make fun of anyone ever again. Yes, there it is. Use log scale. Holy shit. All right, yeah, you're all fucked again. No, kidding. If we do go off of log scale, which is probably the right one to go off of, then that upwards trajectory has not been hit at all in 2024 or 2025. That's actually pointed all the way up to close to $200,000 or a little bit above $200,000. I don't know how legitimate that is. I don't know how, if that'll actually play out, but if you want the ultra bullish move, that would probably be it. But I'm going to go back to linear because that seems to actually be a little bit more tested here and working more often. Now I can't find it again. There we go. Okay, use log scale. Price action pivots, baby, quickly becoming one of my most quoted indicators. That one and the HPDR, like my two main drivers on day-to-day action. Anyways, who summons the idiot? What's up, Messicant? Yvonne, what's up, man? Adult arc, you're growing up? Holy shit, man, that's amazing. I wish I knew what that was all about. Alt season was over last March. You mean this past March or the March before that? Probably the March before that. No, I mean, alts had a pretty good end of 2024, right? Yeah, I think that, the memes had a really good end of 2024, actually. But fair enough. What's up, Peter Underwood? Good to see you, man. More like July 4th celebration dumpster. Could it be? I mean, it's very possible. I mean, look. The way to get bearish here on Bitcoin is actually extremely obvious. Again, based off of the price action pivots, we can see that Bitcoin did break out again on Wednesday. We were having a big focus on that 106,900-ish region, and it has now retracted once and now twice that same exact region, even meeting up and reconnecting with that red 5 EMA at 106,500. And so, as long as Bitcoin's above there, yeah, bullish bias. Bitcoin back down below there. Even if Bitcoin just trades below today's low, again, 106,469 to be exact for the index, I would personally look at that as likely good enough for confirming this as a trap and probably price action back down to 103 to 104 region. That would be absolutely devastating for most alts. Again, I call back to this chart right here. The best chart to really represent Bitcoin dominance with it, which is the total market cap measured versus Bitcoin, but excluding Bitcoin, stablecoins, and even Ethereum, although you probably could add Ethereum to that as well. Here's the monthly look. The monthly already closed below the bottom side of the range in May, and now is continuing in June. So this breakdown is real. You got a silver cross to the downside. It's just very difficult to look at any alts as legitimate, when something like this is happening. Yes, there will be some one-offs that go to the moon and beyond, and I'm sure it's definitely 100% your altcoin because you are smart and you could never make a mistake like that. Of course. I'm kidding, okay? I'm sure that you have picked the exact right one because there are a few right ones here and there. But for the most part, the overwhelming majority are going to be losing versus Bitcoin. I think really if you're going to be in the crypto market, you have to benchmark versus Bitcoin. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? You could just hold Bitcoin. It's more safe. It's less sexy, yes. And yes, you won't get those humongous, massive gains. If you're starting with $100, you're not going to become a millionaire by holding Bitcoin. I totally get that. However, you're also not going to lose all $100 as well, which might be just as valuable maybe to some more risk-averse people out there. But you be the judge of that, of course. That is up to you, as always. And of course, we do have the quarterly close on this one as well. And I think it's going to continue to follow the channel here. I don't think that this one's bottomed yet. I think it comes lower. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing back down around the 2020 lows, maybe even lower than that over time, because this thing has been consistently putting in lower highs from cycle to cycle. And working its way down. So, very, very difficult to be bullish on altcoins. Yes, they're going to get their bounces at some point. Yes, they're going to have some pretty impressive moves near the very, very end of the cycle. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure people will misquote me later and say, you said the alts were always bad. It's like, yes, they're going to be bad over a longer period of time. Obviously, find me a fucking alt that beats Bitcoin, makes new highs from cycle to cycle, and holds those new highs. If you can do that, then hey, you found the right altcoin. If you can't do that, you haven't, obviously. Anyways, my point is that it's a Bitcoin market. It's a Bitcoin fucking market, man. And it is until it's not. So, do alts get their day, do alts get their day in the sun at the very, very end of this cycle? Probably. They probably get some big bounces, and I'm probably going to get a lot of very hateful messages being like, you fucking idiot, Crown. Oh my God. You told me these alts were bad, and then they just bounced 50%. Although they forget to fucking mention they're still down like 70% from the all-time high. So a greater look at the more long-term here. It's just very, very difficult to make money in alts over the long term. Yes, you can have some amazing trades. Yes, there can be major, major gains. Absolutely. The volatility does offer opportunity, but holding these things long-term is just not the fucking... I mean, I just have not seen that work out for nearly anything, at least anything that comes to mind. All right, we'll get into some shitcoins, but I should probably go over the actual Bitcoin analysis in just a moment here. Won't take me too long. And actually, I want to record a really, really quick video as well. Where did I put it? Yeah, I put it right here. Okay. Let's, can I? Well, no, that's fine. Let's hold on. I want to think about how I should proposition this, because I'll post it on the weekends. When is Bitcoin most likely to top for the year? Well, if you divide the years between positive closing years and negative closing years, only focusing on the positive closing years, generally, Bitcoin has seen the high of the year very late within the year, November and December, about 75% of the time, or 9 out of 12 prior closing positive years. Now, when we go to the negative side, that equation is completely different. It is very early on within the year, January/March, generally speaking. But I do want to make a major note here for those positive closing years for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has never not once seen the high of the year before June, which is very interesting to me because thus far, Bitcoin has seen the high of 2025 in, of course, May. So that does imply that, hey, if you are expecting a bullish or a green close in 2025, you're probably looking at higher price action. So I'll just leave that right there. A little bit of hopium for the end of this year. I do think that Q3 is likely going to try for new all-time highs as well. And we shall check back out on this one, and I'll leave it there. Take care. Nice one. Okay, just very quick shorts videos. Love it. Nice. Awesome. SEI did 100% in 24 hours. Bitcoin did what, sir? Holy shit, did you not just hear anything that I fucking said? Oh my fucking God, you are actually a retard. Holy shit. Sir, if it bounces up 100% and it's still down 75%, is it doing better from cycle to cycle? Yes. Oh, Crown's wrong. He's the retard. Holy shit. You just figured it out, man. 100% move gets rid of your 75% downside. Wait a second. Hold on. If my shitcoin is worth $1 and it goes down 75% to 25 cents and then it goes up 100%, then it's 125, right? For fuck's sake, man. Holy shit. What else do we have? What else do we have here? Yeah, let's actually get into some real Bitcoin analysis really, really quickly. Let's start off over here. Yeah, let's actually start off on this one. That's gonna be perfect. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, okay. Very quick Bitcoin analysis here as Bitcoin once again retests the same trend line that it has broken out from on Wednesday's video. That is this declining trend line that Bitcoin has been riding ever since June of 2025. Now has retested it once and even twice, even reconnecting with that red 5 EMA. So we have a very, very obvious area to be looking at for a potential trap if it does indeed occur. But on the other side, it should be known that as long as Bitcoin is very specifically above that red 5 EMA or just basically above today's low, then upside is a more likely thing to be looking at. And in this case, we can see that there are several very, very compelling things in the background here. Looking at the weekly time frame for CME, which is going to be closing this weekly, by the way, at the end of today in 14 hours, 39 minutes, and 27 seconds and counting, we can see that Bitcoin is putting in a heroic weekly dildo as of right now. Now, of course, a lot of things can change. We got PCE coming out later today. I'm sure that that'll be used to move markets, but assuming that Bitcoin can close today above the red 5 EMA at exactly 105,351 on CME again, then I would be looking at this as another very objective signal that Bitcoin is ready to retest the highs, probably make new all-time highs, I would imagine, at least in July. The reason why I say at least in July is because this month is almost over, so fair enough. Anyways, to compound on top of that, we can look at stochastic momentum here, which should be known on the 5-day time frame is actually going to flip back onto the upside. If Bitcoin can close above 107,750, which, to be fair, I mean, that's not happening today or tomorrow. It is going to be happening on Sunday. But if Bitcoin does reclaim 107,750, you're going to have 5-day momentum moving to the upside, and weekly time frame will also be moving to the upside, I do believe, on CME. Actually, sorry, I do have to pull back on that statement. No, it'll not be moving up on CME. CME's pivot is 109,290 on the weekly here. But again, puts it in a position of power for next week. I imagine somewhere around this increasing trend line right here would be a natural area of interest. And between the most recent price action pivot, which was the high of May, and these numbers are coming in between about 112,400 on the lower end and about 113,350 on the upper end. That would just be kind of like a natural area of interest. Again, if Bitcoin can maintain above these very, very critical regions. But here's the thing, just like I said, there is a very obvious area to be declaring Bitcoin as well a trap, and in this situation, if Bitcoin comes back down and closes, especially below today's low, anywhere below this trend line, which is also directly in alignment with the red 5 EMA at again 106,425, then we have a trap on our hands, and very likely Bitcoin, targets moves back down to 103, maybe 104, somewhere in that pocket there before the next sort of decent bounce. So opportunities on both sides as usual. I do want to again go over some of the meta signal setups over here because this one is still active and still valid. This is the 2-hour setup that fired off. I believe it was on Monday or Tuesday. This one fired off when Bitcoin was trading at 101,000 bucks. Now Bitcoin is, it's hit a high of like 108 and change. So not bad right there. Obviously target number 1 and target number 2 have been hit with fine colors. Target number 3, however, is at that 109,250-ish number, which is super interesting because if you recall, that was the weekly pivot for CME. If Bitcoin were to hit that today, I mean, that just makes it super fucking obvious that coming into next week, we're probably going to see a real drive towards new all-time highs. But keep in mind, target number 3 is relatively low probability compared to the other ones, at least 34% or just above 34% of the time. We do see that target, that third target hit. And again, that would be 109,250. All of the targets have been met. And if you are more of a I guess, price action trader, you'd probably be looking at this area right here and saying to yourself, well, maybe I just take some profit anyways because this is a good area. You've already seen a lot of the meat on that trade anyways. Now, I also want to remind myself that yes, on the other side there was a short-term short setup that fired off for meta signals. This one has not hit any of the targets as of right now. Target number 1 is 106,058. Bitcoin yesterday did get down to about 106,300, but thus far, obviously eluding this one. And generally for the meta signal setups, target number 1 is generally quite high probability, above about 70% a lot of the time. In this particular setup, I do want to really focus on, I really want to focus on target number 1's win rate here because it is much lower in general. So 64, spot 40% of the time it does get hit. And in this case, I would say if Bitcoin is going to obviously break out, we're not going to see any of those targets hit. But I mean, in my opinion, that's fine. Like this one already had a pretty decent trade, more than $1,000 from high to low, or sorry, from the open to the low. So again, I just a quick sort of PSA for the meta signals. I like to look at these things as probabilistic setups, not as like direct telling you, hey, here's exactly what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, I think if you just apply just even a small 1% of technical know-how, you're going to be able to make a lot more out of that. Again, a lot of the time you can get better entries. And in this case, I think that it would have been prudent to have taken the exit, on a test of this region as well. Just a natural area of bounce and not so far away from that first target anyway. anyways. But hey, that's just me. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Of course, the links in the description below for Meta Signals. They'll give you all sorts of freebies at this point. And they have all sorts of crazy promos going on, and it's down there somewhere in the links. Anyways, my point is, as we move through this one, is that one, Bitcoin is setting up in a position of power to close out this week, but the week has not closed just yet. And two, we have a very obvious area for declaring Bitcoin an actual breakdown if it does occur. But until that happens, probabilities continue to be in favor of the upside based off of that Wednesday break. And if we go over here to the weekly for CME, we can also see that the weekly is almost about to reclaim. Yeah, it's about to reclaim the median here. The median on the HPDR is just above 106. Again, CME closing out the weekly later today in 14 hours and 33 minutes or so. So if it does close above both the median and also the 5 EMA, which will kind of happen simultaneously, I suppose, again, that opens up the doors for a real extension of this rally. The top side of the 38.2 level as of right now is $120,000. So that would be a natural area of pullback if Bitcoin were to get there. But again, must close above the median right here. And also that 5 EMA, they're going to be about one and the same anyways. And if it does, then, next week, maybe the week after that, probably early in July, we do see a real try to new all-time highs here for Bitcoin. Other than that, I want to once again remind myself that I'm actually going to be stopping doing the weekend videos. I might upload some shorts here and there, but I'm going to stop doing them at least for now. And yeah. I'm not actually dead if you don't see videos on the weekend. It's been a good run for about 7.5 years almost now. But it's time for something new. And we'll leave it on that note. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time. All right, very nice, very nice. Okay. Okay, so Meet Damien also does not understand what the hell I'm saying. He says, Solana actually made a new all-time high in this cycle. You can't say the same for Ethereum or Cardano or most other altcoins. Sir, we are looking versus Bitcoin, man. We're looking versus Bitcoin. So I'm sure it's made new highs versus Bitcoin as well, right? Because it had a really good cycle here. Hey, what the fuck? Hey, what the fuck, man? Are you kidding me? Are you telling me from 2021 to the high of 2024, it was still down 33%? Can't be right. It's a bunch of fucking whale manipulation going on right here. They just don't know. They just don't know that Solana is the next Bitcoin. Those bastards. Fucking assholes. Actually, I have no idea why Crypto Al is here. He always leaves the same comments as well. But fair enough. Fair enough. You in particular should definitely hold on to your altcoin investments. Absolutely. 100%. Do it, man. Do it, man. That's great. It's a great idea. Great idea. Anyways, yeah, let's record another short video as well. I think that this one's pretty obvious at the top of the mind right now too. Hey. Let's see. Where was this from? Yes. In Wednesday's video, we looked at Bitcoin on a potential breakout above this long-term trend line extension coming in from the highs of the 9th of June, connected with the highs again on the 16th of June. And Bitcoin officially closed above it on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, that is, at 106,900. So as long as Bitcoin is now above that trend line, we actually do have a technical breakout right here. And you can see that Bitcoin is now using that trend line thus far as a nice bouncy region for these short-term pullbacks. That does imply that on the other side, if Bitcoin breaks it back down again, really coming back down below today's low, which is 106,469, especially closing any sort of higher term time frame below there, we do have the objective conditions met for a trap with targets back down to 103 or 104. But until that happens, probabilities remain favoring to the upside as Bitcoin continues to trudge its way upwards and onwards using the same breakout region as a basing point. So the question is, what are targets higher, or what are the areas of interest higher, I should say? The next most obvious one is going to be that same high from June the 16th, which is about 109,000 US dollars. I do suspect that if Bitcoin were to get around there, you'd see a short-term pullback. But if Bitcoin does even just trade above that high, you're very likely going to be in for new all-time highs, or at least a new all-time high try in very early July. Other than that, I'll leave it right there, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Fuck, I missed that, says New England Patriots. My bad. All right, let's look at some shitcoins. I'm sure they're doing great today. Okay. What do we have? Elsa's already got them lined up for me while she cleans in the background. Very good. Very good, wifey. Steven Schickman says, GM, doggy, daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, let's check it out. Daily looking bad, weekly looking okay. So yes, I remember on Dogecoin we did say that this one was going to come back down somewhere around the April lows. We've been saying that for quite some time now. It is back down around April lows now. So before I was saying I don't think it's going to break those April lows. I actually think that it still won't break those April lows, to be honest. When I say break these April lows, I mean really close below the wick low of April, which was 13 cents, meaning that somewhere in this region right here between where it's at right now and that white 200 moving average, which is 13.5 cents, I'd be expecting a bounce. And because this is actually declining, do you want to call it a falling pizza? Do you want to call it a falling wedge? Do you want to call it a decline channel? Whatever the fuck you want to call it, doesn't really matter. These things typically break out to the upside. At least they have a higher probability to do so. But most importantly, there's a very, 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 very obvious way to define a breakout here. Basically, closing back above last week's high would also clear you back above that declining trend line. And at that point, probably looking at a move back into the mid 20s, let's say 24 to 25 cents or so, with next major area of interest, next major impediment right around those May highs. If by some act of God, Doggy can actually reclaim those May highs, then I'd be looking for things to actually really explode from there. I mean, shit, this thing could move up significantly to 35 cents. But we are coming into the end of this month here, so the monthly close is going to be of relevance. And as of right now, it's still just not interesting, in my opinion, long term. Doesn't mean that you can't make money on it. Doesn't mean it's not going to have its bounces. Probably will near the end of these cycles and whatnot. But you can see that it is massively, massively, massively underperforming. Well, of course, Bitcoin and many other things here too. So wrapping up my thoughts. Do I think it's going to break lower? Unlikely to be lower than those April lows. We've already hit our major areas of interest to the downside here. Maybe it spends another week or two going sideways, and then it tries an upside move, and this will be effectively looked at as a double bottom. I guess the most obvious area to be getting super bearish on this thing and know if I'm going to be wrong is if it closed below the 200 simple on the weekly, which is 13.66666. If it does that, then, well, I guess send it back down to the fucking 2023 lows. I think it's a little bit less likely, to be honest. A rising tide lifts all ships. So if Bitcoin does continue here, it's hard to look at most of these things as really breaking into new lows. Most of them are already back down around those April lows anyways. So it's like they're probably going to get bounces just by the virtue of being back down around, all-time low, or not all-time lows, but like yearly lows, right? Anyways, looking at Dogecoin versus Bitcoin, even significantly worse. Yeah, it doesn't open an uptrend. Is might even officially break down at the end of this month. It's got 3.5 days left to go. Any closure below 158 Satoshis, and I would look at that as a monthly breakdown confirmed, continuation of trend with lower highs and lower lows on the monthly versus the corns. And I don't know, probably comes down to like 100-ish, let's say 100 Satoshis, which is a very big move from where it's at right now, to be fair. Next, we have Ray now. He says, good morning, Crown. What's up, man? Could you please share your thoughts on IDFC First Bank Indian stock? Okay, thank you for specifying that it is an Indian stock, because wait, okay, I am redacted. I cannot. Okay, there we go. Found it. Okay, it's got to be this one. Actually really, really good here. I like it on the reversal for the quarterly. Again, just really 2 more trading days left to go, or I guess probably about 1 for this thing. Anyways, as far as the monthly goes, I think you're going to see this thing try higher into Q3, basically, with this quarter being, effectively a bullish engulfing dildo. Is it really a bullish engulfing? Yeah, it is actually a bullish engulfing. Again, just a few days left to go, but assuming that it closes basically anywhere above $67, I think that this thing, could easily try into the, somewhere around $80 in the next 3 months. Overall, it's good. I think the reversal is real, and this is a really impressive recovery right here as well. I would have a major area of interest around about $76 for a short-term pullback, but getting there is not bearish. Just, pull back and then try higher later on, right? But yeah, overall, you're saying you're looking for 85. It's not really my first target. I mean, it's not that crazy of a target, but I just think it would take, you're probably looking around end of year if something like that's going to happen. Overall though, look, any closure above, especially like 67 by end of this month, I think you're generally in the right direction. This is going to be effectively your next quarterly high or low. I mean, that's beautiful. Very, very nice. Vazgen, catch. Oh man, I'm sorry, dude. I'm an American, so my tongue is very limited. I'm going to call you Vazgen K, Mr. K. GM, sir, can you please take a look at Syrup? Sure, man. I remember this is one of the newer shitcoins. It was actually looking quite good last we looked at it. Let's see if it's still of that same, of that same variety. And it is. And this is the kind of shitcoin you want to be getting into. Okay, I shouldn't say you want to be getting into, but this is the kind of shitcoin that is going to be favored during this stage of the cycle. It's completely new. It's only been around for certainly less than a year. It's acted decently. It has moved with Bitcoin, probably even outpacing Bitcoin as well. I mean, it is its first cycle. So this quite literally is this quite literally is a thing that will perform quite well during a cycle like this. So overall, I like it. Again, I'm not saying I love it long term, of course. I mean, it's a very different question, but this thing looks like it's just continuation of this breakout, man. Looks pretty damn good. Looks pretty damn good. Probably the best shitcoin that we'll see today, I do imagine. I wonder what this one does. That's a real question, but you didn't give me any time frames to go off of, so I don't know. But I probably couldn't help you out much anyways because it's in uncharted territory. I don't count this price action over here, by the way. To me, this is in a blue sky breakout already, so the only thing to say is, hey, I wouldn't want to be short this thing. I'll put it that way. Bullish as long as you're above about 50 cents, currently trading above 61. So yeah, not bad at all, man. One of the best ones. Crown wearing a Lakers jersey without what a dork. Okay. Relax. Imagine you care that much about a team that you're probably not on, that you'll say something like that. Everyone's free to do what they want. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm also entitled to my opinion that, well, I won't even say it. Anyways, Cartman's BTC says TMC stock, all good, man. Daily, weekly, sure. Daily, I don't know, probably opens up today on a pullback, maybe tags 688, fills that gap there. That's an obvious area. Long term, I know you didn't ask about a monthly, but yeah, I think that this thing will try higher again in the next quarter, but probably opens up today on a pullback. That pullback could even get dragged all the way down to 580 or so. But ultimately, I think that either one of those areas is going to be a major area of interest. I don't think that this thing's necessarily topped for Q3 or topped at all here. I think you're in for a short-term pullback, probably reconnect. Yeah, actually, now that I look at it, probably around 588 to be honest. But should try for a bounce there, and I would imagine probably does continue on with the overall move, after playing out some nice sideways price action. But yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful. Basically, I'd just be bullish on this thing as long as you're above about $5, especially trading at 718 right now. So again, short-term pullback. That's okay. Just don't want to see $5 lost. All right, moving on. We have fucking by the dip. He says Syrup Maple, short or long term or 4 hour. I think that's one we just looked at. If you're looking at the 4 hour, however, maybe we could go back to that one and see what it's doing. Hold on. I guess we go to Binance or something for this. 4 hour time frame just looks like a nice healthy consolidation at the highs already. I mean, this thing doesn't even look like it wants to pull back, to be honest. If it takes out the last 4 hour low, closed below there 57.5 cents, then I guess I'd be looking for a pullback to 55 or 54, but I don't even think that's going to happen. This thing looks like it wants to continue like from here. This is probably going to be one of the best altcoins for the rest of the cycle. I would guess right now. That always blows my mind. Like people get so wrapped up in sports and they're not even like fucking playing. I mean, shit, you probably support the team that you support because you were just born there, like something that you didn't even choose. Like, Jesus Christ, man, holy shit. Have you thought about that for 1 second, or are you just retarded? Always a good question to be asking. Hey, I'm not saying you can't like sports. Sports are fun. They're nice. But at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of chodes watching them play. We ain't doing shit. So who cares? Anyways, Taha Tarmoon says, Platinum on the daily weekly. Platinum is symbol XPT, right? Yeah. Okay. Not something that I look at too much myself, but we can look at it here. You're looking at very high term timeframes. Yeah, weekly is broken out. I remember we looked at this one. This was maybe a month ago was the last time we looked at it. We were saying, hey, this thing's likely to try some upside. I couldn't have told you it was going to have a move like this, but that's wouldn't be complaining either. I do think that this one does reach a little bit higher, probably around 1,500 or so. And that's where I'd be looking for a pullback. Yeah. And just don't want to see this thing below 1300 by end of this month. I don't think that that's going to happen, but that would be my line in the sand for maintaining bullishness. You know, if it does want to pull back in the short term, well, actually, I guess it's not that crazy of a, you know, of an area, but ultimately just needs to maintain above about 1300. And I think that this thing will go closer to 1550 on the next move, probably in July, maybe August, something like this. It's kind of weird. It seems like we're going to get a different summer than most, with this summer showing some promise for actual volatility and actual breakouts. Any target for I don't have targets for something like Maple fucking by the dip, because one, it's too new, and two, it's in a blue sky breakout, and there's no, like, there's not enough price action history to even pull Fibonacci extensions, man. I don't think it matters, or at least it would be very misleading. Yeah. But yeah, platinum here. I mean, I think precious metals in general going to be doing quite well. I mean, all of the ones that we've looked at for the past quarter have been looking like they're getting ready for, you know, real breakouts. So to me, that's impressive. And we have RK Sidhu next. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. Wow, it's a really nice message. feel bad for being an asshole earlier, not to you, of course, but to other people. But very, very nice message. He says, just want to say thank you for all the years of wisdom regarding Bitcoin. Your channel has helped my life in many ways. Really happy to hear that, man. I'm just really happy to hear that, man. It makes this a lot more meaningful, a lot more fun to hear stuff like that. At the end of the day, hopefully it has a positive effect. Can't always promise that, but I can always promise you that I'll give you my full unedited opinion, whether I'm right or wrong, which of course will happen on both sides many times over the course of my YouTube career. But yeah, man, I enjoy it either way. And like I said, my main disposition is to provide unbiased statistics. I'll give my spin on it as well, but I want to always want to differentiate my spin versus, of course, statistics. Statistics are just numbers. They're just numbers that help make decisions. Anything else on top of that is an opinion, which is, you know, subject to being wrong. And of course, when you're going over statistics, like, you're going to be wrong at some point, because nothing's 100%. Of course, nothing can be, unfortunately. Anyways, we have Pathum, Mr. A. Sorry, man. Again, having trouble with the names today. But it's no disrespect, sir. It's just I don't know how to say it. So I'll call you Mr. Pathum A. And he's looking at FART on the daily and weekly. Okay, actually I have FART on my list right here. FART, last we looked at it, I said somewhere back down around 95 cents to $1. It has obviously hit there, and not just hit there, but come down even further towards 80 cents. Jesus Christ, man. The question right here is FART coiling up to put in a higher low? I think I actually need to go to a lower term time frame for this one. It's possible, yes. It does still maintain its downtrend, but I actually would call this one on a reversal to the upside with probably significant upside targets if this is a big if it can trade and close back above 112.75. If it can do that, I do think that you're in for a pretty sizable rally here. You know, somewhere between like 130 to 140. Maybe even just makes new highs if that were to happen. But still, that's well and far away, man. You know, make no mistake about it. It is still in downtrends on every time frame that does matter. When we go to the weekly, not enough history here to really be doing much. Maybe the 5-day will have more. 5 days on the verge of breaking down this long-term trendline extension, but it's not quite there just yet. Still another 2.5 days to go, so it can easily reclaim this by the end of that period. Just needs to close above about $1, which, you know, it looks like Bitcoin might put things in a position to do such things, you know, before Sunday, basically. So yeah, big focus on that Wednesday high. Again, 112.5 above there. I actually do think that this thing will put in a pretty nice move to the upside. As long as you're below there, you know, technically it's all down, but fair enough. I think I'll end it on that note. I'm looking for something a little bit more obvious here, but I'm not finding it as of right now. Yeah, all higher term timeframes are in downtrends, so there is that. So yeah, I generally have to be bearish, although I don't like getting bearish in an area like this. But I generally have to have a bearish bias as long as you're below that Wednesday high. If you can reclaim that high, okay, very, very nice. Get ready for a pretty massive move, actually, to be honest. Anyways, we have Mr. IR Brandon next. He says, BBA. Holy shit, man. That's funny you mentioned that one. This is one of the ones that I watch. I actually do not have a position in this one. I tried to get a position in it, but I got too greedy. I was bidding back on over here. I wanted like 225. It got down to 236, and I said fuck it after that. Look, I think it's a good one, man. I think that this thing's heading up to 630 next. Probably going to pull back a little bit from there. Does it continue the rally longer? I think it probably does, to be honest with you. Just to shoot you 100% straight, I think that this is a real reversal here. I think you got a higher low. God, this one is painful to look at, to be honest. Like, oh, how could I be so stupid? That was a 2x play quite easily. But anyways, you have a reversal here. You have low, you have high, you have higher low, you have same high, same low, higher low. It's already above that last high on a closing basis. So to me, this thing is getting ready to actually break out. I like it, man. I like it. I guess I could tell you where I would switch around on this one, and that would be, to be honest, below yesterday's low. This thing actually looks quite bad, or at least continuing on with this sideways range between about $6 to $3.50. But this thing actually does look like it's in a position of power to follow through here to the upside. Freddie M says IREN on weekly and monthly. What would be a breakout? Well, let's see. I'm guessing it's the actual stock. And you're looking at a weekly month. So very, very high term timeframes. What would be the breakout? Okay, so the weekly is quite obvious with the price action pivots. That would be any sort of a weekly closure above 1362.5. 1362.5. It's quite close there already, to be fair. Do I think it's going to pull through and do it? To be honest, yes, I do think so. I think most things in the stock market right now are going to be given free rides to put in some pretty significant rallies. Like if your favorite stock is not rallying in this environment, it's a really, really bad sign. Especially with traditional markets making new all-time highs. If you want to go buy the book on the monthly, I guess your major area of interest would be $16, but I think the weekly will do it for you. I think $16 is almost guaranteed if you can actually reclaim this weekly number right here. Again, 1362.5. So yeah, that'd be my breakout area. Let's look at a quarterly really quickly. Again, if the quarterly can even just, 1363, 1362, you're going to have a quarterly bullish engulfing dildo. I mean, it's hard to be bearish on something like that, man. This one's going to see much higher if that happens. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh man, there's a lot of them today. This is kind of crazy. But actually cool to see a lot of people back here. Fucking by the dip says Chainlink short and long term or 4 hour daily, weekly, monthly. Okay. I'm actually curious to see how this one's doing. Looks very similar to, at least in the short term, to Dogecoin. A little bit worse though, because it is actually operating below the 200 simple on the weekly. So not great there. But I'd say the same thing as Dogecoin, right? If Bitcoin is going to rally here, and if Bitcoin actually does finish the week above the very specific level that we spoke about earlier on in this video, do you think things are going to break down? No, they're going to at least hold on, and they're probably going to put in some nice rallies. And I wouldn't be looking at this thing as anything different, to be honest. Still basing off the not the weekly, but the monthly 55 EMA. I don't think that this one's going to be a big winner this cycle, like most shitcoins, especially that have been around for multiple cycles. But you do have some technical things here that suggest the next move is probably going to be to the upside. We do see my LARP lines are, we were looking, Holy shit, this is following the LARP lines a little bit too well right there. Look, you do have a falling channel. Yes, you have already retested that low. So the moves that we were looking for to the downside have already been met. If you see this thing close above, what is it? About, let's just call it $14. I'm rounding up here. It's technically a little bit below 14 bucks, but if you do see it close a weekly above 14 bucks, technically you have an implied move all the way up north of 21.5. Big area of interest, of course, on those May highs. That would be your first sort of major pullback region for a weekly. But if it were to break out above there, I think that it likely would follow through. Other than that, man, the obvious area to get very, very bearish on this thing, looking for the next big breakdown, and this is not helpful, I completely admit this, but that would be any sort of closure on any time frame higher than a daily below last week's low. If you see that, something else is going on. This thing's, I guess, getting ready to break multi-year lows, but I'm less inclined to say that. I think that we're moving into the last and final phase of this market cycle. I personally think that it will actually end in Q3, although yes, statistics do suggest Q4 is significantly more likely. specifically November and December. But either which way that you look at this, I think that we're in kind of like the final move here, and things are generally going to get some nice bounces. This probably is, to be honest, I'm going to probably have to eat my words from earlier, because this probably is about the time to play some of these, these older shit coins. I still don't think they're going to have as good moves as the new shit coins, like that Maple thing, whatever the fuck it was. That seems to be like one of the big winners coming up. But these things will put in their bounces, assuming that holds up and plays through. Anyways, moving on, we have Noah Reason. He says, Van Eck Junior Miners, how about a ticker, sir? I'm just going to type this in and hope for the best, ma'am. Wait, hold on. I wrote in minors like the children. Junior minor. God damn, man. Tickers, sir. Tickers are much better. Junior minors. All right. I'm guessing it's this, but for fuck's sake, man. Tickers. It is at your monthly range high here. Whoops. Let me pull this one back. Your monthly range highs. I think you're going to have a real shot to actually break above that before this month is over of June. It just needs to close above 68.84. If you see that, this thing's going to explode in Q3, I imagine. Q3 and Q4. I think that this thing could even move up to $100 if that happens. Quarterly, again, quite strong here into the end of the month, but needs to finish, again, must finish above at least 66 and a quarter, and preferably it actually closes above 68.85. If it does that, very obvious, big move to the upside. If it just closes above, 66 then, or 66 and a quarter, then I would still be biased towards the upside, but technically have not seen the breakout just yet, so to speak. So yeah, fucking buy. The dip says Syrup Maple again for, wait, no, we already did that one, so all good. King Sock says, I'm redacted and my shitcoin is the best. Holy moly, man. All right, I'm having good vibes from this one. Let's see what TAO is doing on the daily. Okay, definitely weaker for the shitcoins that we've seen today. This one looks like it's barely holding on for dear life right now. But when we go to the weekly, you have some pretty obvious areas of interest, right? You got your May highs, which for this thing is 488, about 48. As long as you're below there, can't really be looking for any like tremendously amazing moves to the upside to be sustained. But, as it still does maintain a downtrend. But I'm looking for some obvious, honestly, man, this is still pretty ugly here, to be honest. I think that this thing's going to bounce up to like 360, 370 in July and then sell off again. Yeah, crazy. If you want to go off of patterns here and be a pattern bro, then you do have the falling pizza, and the area of resolution, or the number of resolution, would be very specifically 364 and 11, 364 and 11 cents, that is. And that would have an implied target of 420 if that were to happen. Great number as well. That still doesn't get you back above those May highs, but would be a decent move, I guess. Yeah, can't really be long-term bullish as long as you're below the May highs, but at the same time, I do think that you could easily have a bounce here. Just need to see that condition met. Until then, it is a downtrend on every time frame that matters. That's kind of the issue with this thing. When I look at the 5-day, I'm very inclined to say I don't think it's going to bounce. I do think it's going to continue down, and I do think it's going to come back down to these April lows. But I should say I don't feel all that confident on this chart, man. I really don't. And I want to be very, very transparent when I feel that way, because everything, all higher term timeframes for trend that matter are all down heavily. The daily shows some promise, but still it needs to prove itself by getting back above 364 and 11. But even then, you do have a nice short-term move to the upside, but that's not going to confirm a reversal on those timeframes that actually matter for trend. That's what makes this one difficult for me, man. Yeah, I don't think I have a good read on this one, to be honest with you. If you're just asking me about the daily, then I'd stick with this. That much seems obvious, but for right now, it's quite literally still a downtrend. So have to wait for it to actually prove itself, and it proves itself back above again, 364 and 11 cents. I'm praying for you, sir. Let's see. Sorry, Noah Reason he's back. He's looking at CFG. I'm guessing this is a stonk as well. Citizens Financial Group. All right. So some sort of a bank. And actually quite good. I think banks in general, last I saw, were doing decently. Yeah, technically you want to see this one at least close above 43 bucks. Yeah. By end of day here, I think that it probably will. I think that you'll see follow through into July, somewhere around 45 to 47, maybe even just hit this high from January. Yeah, overall, monthly seems to be reversal. You got high, you got low, you got lower high, you got lower low, you got higher high, higher low. Let the trend be your friend. I think that this one likely does follow back up to those highs from January at $50. It's just going to take some time, obviously. I guess if you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, then, well, yeah. I mean, you want to see this thing at least close the weekly above $43. If it can close the weekly above $43, I think that sets you up quite well for Q3. You know, back up to $50 at some point. I don't know how long that takes, man, but that'd be my general sort of disposition. We have CZ. He says DUPEUSDT daily. All right, man. Well, I don't know. Let's see what this thing looks like, I guess. This is a new one for me, and it also seems to be, it's only been around since April, so it's very, very new. Again, these are the kind of shitcoins that probably are the ones to play if you do want to play shitcoin roulette. And it does have another higher low right here. And I imagine, yeah, you do have some hidden bullish divergence between this point and this point as well. So if anything, I think that this thing's setting up to move with Bitcoin. Next area of interest to the upside is like 2.80 cents. Does it stop there? I mean, short term probably is a pullback, but I don't think it's going to stop there, man. I think this thing at some point probably hits this same trend line again on an actual breakout. That's at 4.25. That'd probably imply that you break back above that last Friday high. That's 330. But yeah, if you do that, I mean, that's the next obvious area of interest. And like I said, you know, if you're going to play shitcoins, you might as well play the ones that are new in this cycle, not the ones from the old cycles. That's just a great way to underperform over the long term, at least in my opinion. Absolutely. MM says, Arrow Daily, please. Thank you. Much love. Thank you. Much love to you as well, sir. AERO. I'm guessing it is the crypto Aerodrome Finance. Sounds like something that the Wolf of Wall Street would be promoting. Aerodyne Finance. Yeah, again, we have an example here now of a shitcoin. You know, it's been around for multiple cycles. Or sorry, it actually is not. It is not, but it even looks bad already. Yeah, so even if you are going to play new cycle shitcoins, you got to play the ones that are newest, at least in my opinion, man. Look, if Bitcoin moves up here, this thing's probably going to have a nice move to the upside as well, but several things are suggesting that this area right here at just below 90 cents is actually a pretty damn good area for the next lower high. I'm trying to look for something that is disagreeing with my views, but here's the thing, man. You got low, you got high, you got higher low, you got same high. If it comes back down and puts in another higher low at around 60 cents, it's not a bad thing, to be honest, man. You know, maybe it follows through to the upside after that. I am inclined to say it's probably not ready right here. When I look at momentum oscillators, yeah, I think it's more likely to fall back down towards those lows and then try and move to the upside. Yeah, and when it does follow through, probably looking a little bit over $1 if I had to guess. But yeah. Not my favorite new shitcoin of the day. That one definitely goes to Syrup and that other thing that we looked at. I forget it already, to be honest. Nikki Page, good morning to you. Simpson Vegans, representing well. Love it, ma'am. Or love it, woman. Crypto Clown World says, I fell asleep waiting for the intro. So, hey, man, all good. You're waking and baking. I like it, man. Good emoticons as always. We already looked at FARTCOIN for DD Berman. That was actually not so long ago, maybe 5 minutes ago. So you can just scroll back if that is of your interest, sir. All right. Alex Samani says, I feel attacked with all this plain older cycle shitcoins talk. I should probably say my usual line here. Look, when I talk shit about shitcoins, I'm not talking shit about you. Unless if I say, hey, you're retarded. But that's not even talking shit, man. I'm retarded as well. Like, I actually am. If you saw me in my day-to-day life, be like, how the fuck does this retard get around? And I ask myself the same question. But when it comes to older cycle shitcoins, it's too difficult to outpace Bitcoin over multiple cycles. And when I say outpace Bitcoin, I mean that the altcoin versus Bitcoin pairing is making new highs and holding those new highs versus Bitcoin from cycle to cycle, at least two, which like I really can't think of one. I'm sure there's got to be one. I mean, there's so many shitcoins in the market. There's got to be one. I'm sure. But that just goes to show you like how rare it is. I look at these markets every fucking day. You know, I see more shitcoins than I ever care to see via these live streams, and I really can't think of one, to be honest. just in like really, really serious terms. Like I really can't think of one. And if you have one, I'm genuinely curious to know what it is. And again, my criteria for that is it has to hold, it has to make new highs versus Bitcoin from one cycle to the next, and then hold above those highs. So thus the highs become the lows basically for the next cycle. If it does that versus Bitcoin, you got something really, really special, super special. All right. Miss Asti is next. She says CYFRF. What is this? CYFRF. Oh yeah, this thing. Solana Strategies. To be honest, I don't love it here. I would have expected to see this thing doing well because this is kind of like the hype plays in traditional markets right now. But if anything, you know, I think you could come a little bit lower here, maybe closer to like 140, 150-ish region. And I guess the hopium is that you hold that and then you exceed this this long-term trend line. All right, let me make sure to a weekly. Okay, weekly's not as bad, to be honest. I guess if you are going to put in a higher low, that 55 makes a lot of sense. That's 150. You've effectively tested that the last couple of weeks, so kind of difficult here. But if I had to call it, maybe something like this. Maybe something like this. Now your super obvious here to be getting mega bullish, and this thing is back above $3 or your May highs. That's not super helpful because it's about 50% below that right now. To get bearish, the obvious area would be a closure below about 120 on a weekly time frame. Until then, you do have a nice tightening pattern here. I'm inclined to say it probably will bounce from here, to be honest, but it might spend another week or two going sideways between 185 and $1.5. So kind of weird one here. When I look at the monthly, I am inclined to say that this one will actually break down, but yeah, I think I have to say I don't know on this one, to be honest. There is a Solana play in US, in the US equity sphere called DFDY. I think it's a similar thing to what you're probably doing. This one looks very, very similar in the short term as well. Just something that I've noticed. This is something that I'm kind of keeping my eye on for traditional markets, but I don't love it just yet. I think this one, as that last one that we looked at, can easily break down significantly, to be honest. So I guess we'll see. This one's probably going to be event and news driven, with all of the, with all of the bills being passed in the U.S. and all of the, legislature going through and all these sort of things. I mean, maybe this thing could get, a crazy bid if the environment is right, I guess. But if you're just going off technicals, they actually don't look that great. But yeah, if you go to the weekly here, it's the same things. I think this one's going to go down first before anything else. I mean, this just looks like a bull trap right here. I think the last one looked about the same. Let's go back to it for a moment. Yeah, big move up, parabolic, comes back down. I mean, how big of a move was it? Yeah, 75%. Bounces back up significantly for a 2x move and then comes back down. I mean, that does look like a blow off to me. Or sorry, this was the exact same chart. Holy shit, I'm the redact. I apologize, but this is the one that we were just looking at, CYFRF. It's very, very similar, very, very similar. If it does break down further, your obvious area is about 70 cents, 60 to 70 cents, but really don't know, man. Or I really don't know, Asti. I have a feeling that these things are going to be massively driven by probably politics. Okay. ADC says MPC daily. Sure. This is another meme coin, so I'm sure it's doing absolutely phenomenally. What do you know? Doing great. Doing phenomenal. Again, long-term macro downtrend. Hard to be bullish on something like this as long as you're below those May highs. Doesn't mean that you can't rally up in the short term close to those. If this one does want to continue its rally, I guess 175 is the obvious area, but I think what's more likely for a lot of these long-term shitcoins, especially the meme coins, is that they've seen their day in the sun. This thing, I think you're going to see a long-term sideways move between about 2 cents on the upside versus half of a cent on the downside. You just tested and rejected the top side of that. You've already come down to the middle of this range. Technically, this was also a pattern break as well. Let's see what the implied move would be. See, so it's coming in from here. Yeah, that's pointed lower. I think that this thing's more likely to head lower, to be honest. But like I said, Your shitcoins are the ones that are going to be the good ones. Look, all jokes aside, I have to be bearish on something like this as long as you're below 2 cents. Not saying that it can't reverse here, but and as long as you're below 2 cents, it is within a very long-term macro downtrend. This again looks like a parabolic blow off top, big move to the downside, and just going into the long-term dead heartbeat chart of destiny, which is where most of these things go. Calamity says top crown. What's up, man? Turbo on the hourly and daily. Okay. Turbo coin. I'm running it back. Turbo, sir. Hourly, I think could carry on with the rally a little bit more here. You have a very obvious area of interest around 3.5 cents, or sorry, 3.5 tenths of a cent. That is. If you can start to close above there, then I do think you could extend that actually all the way up to 3.67 tenths of a cent, somewhere around here. I don't know how relevant that is to you, but again, long term, I'm never going to like something like this, man. You do have this declining sort of channel right here. Again, these are more likely to break out to the upside than the downside, but they are, but until they actually break out of the channel, it just moves to the downside. So yeah, I'm looking for something obvious here. I kind of feel the same way about this one as I do about most shitcoins we've seen today. I really don't want to pick a direction on these things. I think it's just easier to watch Bitcoin. If Bitcoin moves to the upside, you're going to see this thing move to the upside as well, just probably not as much. If it does get an actual breakout above this past Tuesday's high, then I think you're probably going to be held somewhere around 4.5 to 5 tenths of a cent. But that's still a pretty big move from where you're at right now. Just needs to confirm that first. Again, long term. It's the long term that I feel very confident about with these things. Like long term, it's going to be down. Short term, can you get these rallies and big moves? Sure, but it doesn't really do much for you over the long term, to be honest. Long term, mega bearish as long as you're below May highs. All right. Oh, actually, I'm at the end of them there. Nice, not bad. Okay, let's get on to the comments over here. Let's see. Let me run through some of these. Danny Khalifa says, "Hey, Crown, please look at XAU daily weekly. This is gold." Sure. Yeah, I think gold topped last we looked at it. See, do I still hold on to these views? I actually do still hold on to these views. Here's the monthly look right here. Again, closes on Monday. Let me just double check that. Yes, Monday is the last day of trading for the monthly on everything. Yeah, I'm a lot more inclined to say this thing is topped. I still stick with my top call here. And if you are pattern bro, which I am, which I can no longer deny, then you are on the verge of breaking down this, what would be a rising broadening wedge. And that does have an implied move back down to about 29.50. Again, this is a weekly look, so if it does play out, it's going to take a long time. You're going to get bounced along the way, probably around 31.50-ish region. But I actually do think that this one's topped now. 3 months of getting wicked above basically 3,300. I think it's ready to go for a pullback. And, keep in mind, this thing has been vertical since October of 2023. This is the quarterly. So each one of these dildos represents 3 months of price action. Like, that's really, 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 really impressive. But, going up like that, well, it's only a matter of time before you also go down like that. I don't know if it's necessarily going to go down like that, but I do think you're in for a pretty big pullback, probably below 3,000. But that could take, this could take months to correct. Anderson7 says, please, sir, if Bitcoin cooperates, does a timing set up for possibly bounce July or dip first and run October? I'm guessing you mean like versus altcoins. So, okay, so the assumption here is that Bitcoin will continue on with its breakout and just generally make new all-time highs in July slash August. Do I think that alt will move with it? Yes, I do think so. I think that they will move with Bitcoin, of course. Are they going to be making new highs with Bitcoin? If you are looking at a shitcoin that is, down more than 50% from its all-time highs, probably not. But they can put in some pretty impressive moves, of course. So, and again, I'm just assuming I know what you mean here because I'm not exactly sure because you didn't say it precisely like that. So maybe I'm interpreting your comment wrong. But if if I have that right, no, I would not be looking for them to dip first. I think that we've seen those quote unquote dips. Most things are back around their April lows. So if they dip any lower, they are literally in continuation mode to the downside. So, I mean, it's not impossible to happen, obviously. If Bitcoin fails here and, of course, comes back down below, what was it, like 106,500, then those things are going to be making new lows for the ones that are already around their April lows. And I mean, at that point, it's like, how much more damage can be done? Well, a lot. I mean, some black hole breakdowns for many of these things. MGTOW by Logic says, like the live stream. I appreciate that, ma'am. I appreciate that. Steve91 in all capitals says, BOME one day, please, in all capitals. Sir, you don't need to yell at me. Just here, doing my best. What's up, Mr. Filson? Good morning, Chi-Man. Okay, we'll look at it just because I don't see any other shit coins here for the time being. Book of Meme. All right, great name. Terrible chart. Yeah, so something like this. Look, if Bitcoin fails below 106,500, for example, this thing's already around its April lows. It's probably going to make new lows. If Bitcoin pulls itself up here, this thing will rally as well. Maybe back up. I mean, it could be like a 2x rally from here to... Or sorry, not a 2x rally, but like a 50, 60% rally back up to the next major moving average. Again, it doesn't do shit for you long term. But yeah, absolute garbage here, man. Absolute garbage. Doesn't mean that you can't get bounces, but I wouldn't even be looking at this one as likely to put in a short-term reversal until you're back above 1.5 tenths of a cent or Tuesday's high. If you can do that, it could probably rally up quite well to 2 tenths of a cent. But let the trend be your friend. And this thing's telling you it hates you. It literally hates you, which I'm not saying that, man. I love you. This thing hates you, though. It's crazy. Learned nothing again says, good morning. Good morning to you as well, sir. Head in the Cloud says, TARS AI, daily, weekly. All right. TARS AI. This is a new one as well. I cannot find the ticker, sir. Maybe TARS USD? No. If I can't find the ticker on TradingView easily, I'm not going to look at it, sir. But XRP looks good. I feel like I'm running into a trap here, but let's see. Maybe it does. Does XRP look good? It is literally in a downtrend on a daily, on a 2-day, on a 3-day, on a 5-day, on a weekly, but not on a monthly. So you see, you have that. No, I have to, well, I don't disagree or agree right now. It already kind of hit our target to the downside for this move. I was saying anywhere between 180 to 190. It got just down to 190, so kind of the upper end of that. Yes, it still maintains downtrend, so I'm not going to love it here, but if it can trade back above this Wednesday's high at 223, yeah, 223, then I guess you have a short-term reversal. But here's the thing, monthly, I could easily get very, very bearish on XRP if it just finishes the month below 210, which it actually is basically at right now. But again, lock can happen in 3.5 days, so it's too early to call it here. But if that were to happen, I think that you're going to see a sizable move below $2 in sometime in Q3. But again, that's only if it closed below that number. Until then, it is holding up relatively better than most of the higher market cap shitcoins, to be fair. Music Miracle says, BOME had a great day that it listed. Never forget that day. I had to go shovel snow and stuff. See, that's the thing, man. Like, most things are going to do very, very good on their first day of release because why? There's barely anyone watching it. There's barely anyone trading it. And so you can massively move these things with very, 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 very small amounts of equity put into them. And then it sucks in all the people who are watching. They're like, holy shit, man, this thing just went 6x in one day. And then they anchor their sort of view on that shitcoin against that, on that very short-term experience, which is unlikely to ever happen again, at least to that sort of degree. Assy says, stock NNE, short and long. Let's see, nano nuclear energy. Daily, I think this one wants to come down a little bit. Short-term, long-term, overall good. Long term, it's just an uptrend. Let the trend be your friend. I'd like to see it finish the quarter out, like somewhere at least here or higher. But if I have to call it on a daily, I actually think that short term is going to try some downside, maybe 34.75, maybe even all the way down to 33.30. Yeah. So short term, probably a bit of a pullback. Would like to see it at least finish the month out of like here or higher. It'd look really fucking good if it could finish out this month above 37 and a quarter, to be honest. But either which way, still an uptrend, so I respect it. Still somewhat new there, to be fair, at least for a stock. All right, more waters. MGTOW Biologic says, not my altcoins, surely. Yeah, I know. It's always funny, man. Like, one thing that I learned in my adult life that I think is super, super true, at least for myself and probably not anyone else, but don't underestimate how average you are. And I mean that for myself. Like, I try not to underestimate how average I am in just everything, because when you look at statistics for like groups of peoples, and I'm being honest with myself, a lot of the time I'm always around the average. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Got to respect it. What's up, Serperator? Greetings from San Diego. Holy shit, probably the best place in all of California, maybe even one of the best places in the nation. Just they need to like secede from California, I think. CYFR stock, upside areas of interest. All right, very specific question, which actually makes this a lot more fun and hopefully makes it more valuable too. Weekly is a bullish engulfing as of right now. Again, it hasn't closed just yet, but assuming that it can just remain above, especially 408, which is above right now, you will confirm that. And I think that this thing runs back up to 460, to start off July. Maybe it even just continues on with the overall with the overall rally here towards 530. But generally, those would be my two next major areas of interest. Needs to close today, today above 408, or if you want to round out, 410 is fine. Then I'd be looking at 460, and I'd probably be expecting a short-term pullback there. But from there, I think that you actually might see $5 plus, but kind of ugly long-term here, to be fair. I guess the hope is that it's putting in a higher low, but way too early to kind of judge that one. Yeah. Okay. We have Arthur next. Says silver monthly, quarterly. Nice. We got some higher term timeframes. I remember last we looked at this, and we've been looking at this one now for like 6 months straight. Been generally bullish on it, and yeah, I think that's the right call here. And I think it's still actually bullish as well. Monthly is having a fresh breakout. Just need to see Monday close above 34.90. If you're following this, which has governed the last 1-2 highs, then your next major area of interest to the upside is going to be about $40.50. I think it's generally following through here. I think all higher term timeframes are looking for more. Yeah, here's our 6 month chart. I mean, Jesus, man, that is, if that's not a breakout, I don't know what is. Still need to see the monthly, quarterly, and 6 month close, but it's in a very strong position right now. Just don't want to see it falter below, again, 34.80. Hold on, 34.85 by end of month. Right now, well above there. So yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. MGTOW Biologic says, yes, you always have to ask what makes this thing. I'm looking at any different. Oh yeah. 100%, man. I mean, yeah, like, am I even one standard deviation off the mean, Neil says, I lost all my work and closed my positions due to stress, being in the dark, and I'm very confused how to re-enter. Now this is killing me. I totally get where you're coming from. If you're looking for advice, I can't really give it to you because, one, that's financial advice, and two, I don't know your financial situation. So I can't give you, I wouldn't even be able to give you like anything accurate to begin with, because I mean, one, it depends on your financial situation. Then two, it depends on your, your actual like preferences and personality. But I guess I could give my own example. Like, if I exited the market, okay, first off, the question would be like, when did I exit the market? I don't know. Let's say I exited the market at the worst time here in April, as of recent, right? Where did I re-enter the market? All trends are up, so I respect that. So I don't have to be too choosy here. I would like to re-enter around 103 to 104 if I can get it, but even that's not reasonable as long as Bitcoin's above today's low. I guess I'd probably hold out until the end of the month and just see if Bitcoin continues to hold this low. If it does, then I just fucking buy. If it doesn't, then and it comes back down below here, then at that point I could easily look towards 103 to 104. But yeah. Mr. Van Duysen, great comments. Calamity says, how is SPX 6900 doing? I think last we looked at it, it hit the prior high And I said that's probably going to be the high for a while. Let's see if that held true. Okay. Yeah. Actually, okay. Yeah, hit the prior high. Holy shit, it came all the way down from 180. I should be trading this thing. 180 to 90 cents. I mean, that's pretty fucking good pullback right there. I don't know if I necessarily have to be like super bearish still. I do think it probably hits that 55 EMA again on the daily, like 107-ish region. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like these things that, you know, collapse fucking 50% in a second. I don't know here, man. That was the easy move. Calling a top right here. Right here is not the easy move, in my opinion. If anything, in the very, very short term, I think you come back down to like 105, 106 again, but that doesn't mean much for any side. Yes, technically it's a downtrend right here, but yeah, I'm hesitant to say anything else on this one. The easy move was had. I think now it just probably ends up consolidating sideways for a while, if I had to guess. Searton says S&P 500 futures are breaking all-time high. Yeah, that's a crazy thing, man. Despite all of the things going on in the background, this thing continues to make new all-time highs. I love it. I love it. I'm going to release a video at some point of my of my perfect portfolio, or at least what I think the perfect portfolio is. And it's no surprise that traditional markets make up a big portion of them. Sorry, that's not even SPY. This is SPY, but both SPY and NASDAQ futures are making new all-time highs. I think they made them also yesterday as well. Like, it's hard to hate that, man. Finishing out the month very, very strongly here is a really good sign. It's a really good sign. You know, if there was going to be a pullback, I was looking for it back on over, where was it, back here, coming in from Monday. It barely pulled back. So fair enough. You know, got to respect the strength. Finishing the month out really, 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 really well is a really good sign. I mean, shit, look at the quarterly. The quarterly is probably going to be a bullish engulfing dildo. I mean, the fucking quarterly. Like, how often do we see that on traditional markets? Well, we saw it the last time this thing broke out in October of 2023. When was the last time we saw it before that? We have to, I mean, I can't see one easily here. I'm sure that I missed one. Okay, there is one right here as well. This one also broke out. Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, Serperator says, Galaxy weekly, monthly. Sure, man. Any new thoughts? I don't remember my previous thoughts on this one, although I do remember looking at it last time. So let's see. I think this one's probably going to follow Bitcoin. And I think if you've finished today above about $20, I would be looking for this one to try move higher to open up July. When I say try move higher, not necessarily above your May highs, but, you know, back around like $23, $24. Yeah, long term, like, don't know what the fuck's going on over here. I mean, to be fair, yes, you do have the makings of a reversal here. You got a couple of higher highs and a higher low. But this is very, very long-term looks. I think you're better off following Bitcoin for something like this. If memory serves me correctly, this is, whose company is this? Novogratz, and he's big into Bitcoin, so probably plays with Bitcoin. If you can finish the day above $20, I do think that you will follow through to the upside in July, but it doesn't necessarily imply new highs above 27. Kind of weird one here. Don't like the long-term history, to be honest. Ahmad Dada says, good morning. What's up, man? Mog coin analysis. Oh, dear Lord. We have another highly esteemed altcoin, meme coin even. Yeah, a lot of these things look very similar. At least it's not backed at its April lows. But if you are expecting a rejection, this is, I mean, the high of this week is exactly where you'd be expecting it at 104,000 whatevers. I don't have a strong read on this. My only strong opinion on this is that it will never go back above these December highs. You might get a big rally in the next few months, but I don't think you're going to be going anywhere near this high. And long term, I feel very, very strongly that you will continue on with new lows. but that can take a very long time. Yeah, I don't really have a great read on this one in the short term. If anything, I'd probably be looking for downside here, but I don't feel super strongly about that in the short term because, you know, if Bitcoin maintains its breakout, then you're not going to see these things make new lows. Now, if Bitcoin fails its breakout below 1065, okay, yeah, send this thing back down, probably back down to those April lows, but a little bit more difficult, to be honest, at least for myself. We looked at platinum already, out of time. Deem Chop says, can you check out Arrow? We already looked at this one. Maddie D says, morning, sir. What's up, man? Can you look at hype on the daily? Yeah. I have it here. Never touched this thing, but I do like watching it because it is a new cycle shitcoin and among one of the better ones as well. The area to get bullish on this thing, looking for a move back up to the prior highs, maybe even to new all-time highs, is very, very simple. Anywhere above on a daily closing basis, Wednesday's high of $39, yeah, this thing should follow through. Until that happens, though, I actually do think you're more likely to come back down to about 33-ish, 33, 34, and try for a bounce there. Other than that, I'm not seeing anything super obvious here. There's just not enough history for me. And if I had to tell you, like, my personal bias here is actually down. I might be massively wrong on that one, but yeah. It seems to me a lot more likely it's going to come back down to $33 rather than take out that Wednesday high. But hey, if it does take out the Wednesday high first, target the current all-time high, I think. I will unsub if you don't talk about Atom. Okay. Well, sorry to see you go, man. I just talked about it, though, so there you go. I'm not going to look at that shitty chart, though. Donkey says, if you have time, can you look at SYRUP versus Bitcoin? I don't know if there's a Bitcoin pairing for this. Yeah, there is no Bitcoin pairing. I can do it this way, but I'm going to tell you what we already know for a new cycle shitcoin. It's going to be massive up. Yeah, it's just an uptrend. Respect the trend. Like I said, if you're going to be playing shitcoins, like these things are the ones to be playing at this point in the cycle, not the old ones. They're not going to be good. Derpenheimer says, good day, Crown. Strategy idea, please try a 20. I can definitely do that, but I'd prefer to not do it on a live stream because, I mean, we could do it, I guess. The 26 EMA and or the 26. Okay. Okay. So you're referencing the 5-day 5 EMA strat, and then you're just adding a condition for the 26 EMA having a negative slope on the entry. Interesting. Actually, I can test that out super quickly. Yeah, here we go. So you've added a 26 EMA. So I'm going to do that right here. Okay. And that's my MA2. And you're putting a negative condition on this one. First, let's look at the results from here. Okay, cool. Where's my slopes? Slopes got to be lower. There we go. And that was MA2. Okay, negative entry. Let's see. No. Well, this is if we run it from the very beginning of Bitcoin's history. I'd have to say no, it doesn't look like it would be great, but maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, I'm not filtering out any days there. I'm not having any other things. Yeah, I'd just say personally, I don't think that that's an improvement. Or at least I don't think it's an objective improvement. Yeah. Oh my God, Litecoin, the best man can get. Hey, Crown, legit question here. Do you shave your ass crack? No need, I guess, because you have a bidet. I do have a bidet, and no, I do not shave my Angus. My Angus is actually not that hairy, funnily enough. I know that's like kind of hard to believe because the rest of my body is so fucking hairy, but yeah. Angus is relatively clear. Elsa says I should tell everyone that I'm a hairy little monkey. Maddie D says, do you think SUI is headed for 225? I remember last we looked at it, we were looking for some downside, and it has definitely come to the downside, getting all the way down to 229. You're looking for 225. I mean, you're kind of at the area here where if you want to be optimistic about a higher low, this area makes a lot of sense, to be honest. But if I'm being... this is how most shitcoins look right now. They're in these descending sort of channels or descending sort of wedges, whatever the hell you want to call them. So yes, it is all downtrends, and it is downtrends on every time frame that matters. But these do set up for reversals at some point. To define this one as a reversal, would need to trade back above and close above Tuesday's high at 290 or 291. At that point, you probably got big moves up north of $3, like 340-ish region, maybe more. Until then, though, I mean, downside is more likely to be fair, and I mean, your next target of 225 is, I mean, that's basically the last low. Probably gets a short-term bounce around there. If it does continue, I'd be looking at the bottom of this, of this price action pivots trendline extension at 213-ish region. I mean, you're kind of trying to, in my opinion, you're kind of trying to squeeze water from a rock here. But look, the good news is you're on the right side of every trend that matters. The bad news is that I actually do expect this thing to break out to the upside at some point. Just does it come from here? Does it come from lower? I guess I have to go with, at least I have to go with the trend because that's what I always favor. But at some point it will be wrong. So yeah. I think generally betting on downside or generally looking for downside, as long as, very specifically, as long as it is not above that, not above that last price action pivots high, downside is more likely. Yeah, a lot of shitcoins look something like this. A lot of them. It's Pride Weekend. Be respectful to Crown. That's right. You got to respect me. Helsinki's a very, very prideful city. I should let you know. Like everywhere I go, everywhere I go, the grocery store, fucking coffee house shop, there's gay flags everywhere. Okay, there's, or even my gym. On my gym's app, by the way, that I have to use to sign in, there's gay flags everywhere and rainbows and shit. And there's signs everywhere too about how like let me actually bring it up. Hold on. I have the proof here. Okay. I have the proof here. All right. So I go yesterday into my coffee house shop that I always go in, and there's gay flags everywhere, and that's fine. Look, I don't hate gay people or nothing like this, but this was a very strange thing to see at your coffee house shop when you're checking out, right in front of your face in big fucking, you can't miss it. You can't miss it. And the message says, for us, the equal value of all individuals is a given. Everyone should be able to be themselves and love whomever they choose. Unfortunately, this is not the case everywhere in the world. That's why we support the Rainbow Foundation, which is dedicated to fighting for this vision. Seems very nice. Rainbow people all over the world should have full human liberties and democratic rights. That's the message. And well, you read that and you're like, all right, well, yeah, I agree. There are several countries, usually in the Asian areas and the African areas, where gay people do not have actual human rights. Yes, I get that. I don't think those are the ones that this fucking note is referencing. I think that they think that gay people don't have rights in probably like, I don't know, fucking America or some shit. It's like, Jesus Christ. Get out of your own little bubble and learn something for once. Music Miracle says, that's the US aid money at work. If you haven't heard, we found out they were handing out millions all over the world to do that promotion. Really? That's possible, man. Possible. I don't know why do they want to push that so hard? Like, for me, man, when I was growing up, gay people were already like fully accepted. It was never an issue or anything like this. Like, they have full rights. They can marry. They can do anything you or I can. We're all equal under the law, at least as far as I know. So I feel like I'm missing something, because it's like, where is that just not true? I mean, obviously there are many countries where that's not true, but I'm talking about like in the Western countries, for example. Anyways, I don't know enough about this topic to honestly speak about it. David says, thoughts on spot for Spotify? Long term, is there a pullback? I mean, there's always gonna be pullbacks, right? But let's see what Spotify's doing. Wow, now that's a fucking chart. Look, there's gonna be a pullback at some point, man, but this is in blue sky breakout mode. My rule for blue sky breakout mode is just get out of the way. Just get out of the way and watch it. I think that this thing's a lot more likely to make new all-time highs before a legitimate pullback. If and when it does pull back, I guess 669, 650-ish region is probably the area of interest. But I think that this thing's like, I mean, I don't think it literally is freshly breaking out. So just let it do its thing. If it does want to pull back, even in the very short term, maybe coming into Q3 at some point, you probably see maybe like 730, if that. But I don't think that this thing's done. I think it's got another quarter of new all-time highs. Very impressive. Very, very impressive move. Let's see what else we got. I think I missed one. Calamity says, can we look at SQD on the 4-hour daily? Okay, SQD. Oh, this is a subsquid token. Yes. Great, man. Look, you're coming off of the daily 200 simple. You know, you might spike it a few more times at 13.25, but I don't think you're going to break below there in the short term here. I think you're more likely to try for a greater bounce to the upside, maybe like 18.5 to 20 cents overall. But you know, don't get mistaken here. That's still a lower high. It's just I think you're more likely to bounce within this region than continue lower first. That's just me. I'm confused. I'm not gay, but I'm gay for TA. That's right. We need better rights for gay for TAs. These motherfuckers don't even know we exist. I don't see my name mentioned on that fucking note. Assholes. What's up, Mr. Igor Stubel? How you doing, man? Good morning to you. I feel like I missed something here. No, actually, I think I got everything thus far. Lil Baller says it's the gay mafia. Yeah, they come armed with massive rainbow dildos, I guess. Trader MP says, hello, Crown. Could you kindly review Aave daily for potential pullback to 240? I guess I can look at it. I guess the question is, do I think it's going to pull back to 240? Really wouldn't take too much to get this thing back down around 240, to be honest. But actually, acting as one of the better things that we've seen today for the shitcoin, from the shitcoin realm. It all depends on how the weekly closes to me. If the weekly closes below the 5 EMA, which is actually quite close to your number anyways at 247, I don't think you're just going to see 240. I think you're going to see lower, like decently lower. I think that probably sets you up for a pullback, you know, to 200 or maybe even below 200. Assuming that this week does close above 247 and change, then I do think you will get a pullback, but I think it's going to be limited. I think, you know, maybe 250 is what you get, something like that. Yeah. If I had to call it, though, I actually do think you are going to see that number, you know, back down around 240, maybe even a little bit lower, 225-ish region. Kelso wants to look at Tesla. Yeah, we can look at Tesla. TSLA. Yeah, I remember last we looked at it. It was looking for a pullback, but I'm not necessarily bearish on it. Just pullback here. Here's the only obvious chart that I see for Tesla. Finishing Monday, which is the end of the quarter above, let's just call it $300. I think that sets it up well for the for the third quarter of this year. Other than that, I really don't have strong opinions on the lower term timeframes. I guess if I had to call direction here, I actually do think it will come a little bit lower, maybe back down to 315 to 310, something like that. But I don't know if that's relevant to you. I don't know if that matters. Should try for a little bit of a bounce there. Other than that, I don't have strong opinions. B Flow says, can you look at XCH? They've already filed S1 to bring stonks on chain. Okay. XCH. This thing? I mean, look, if it's going to be news driven like that, you can't really trust tentacles all that much. If I was just looking at tentacles, I'm going to tell you what you already know. It's like, it's not fucking good, but you know, if it's going to be news driven like that, it can explode out of nowhere. That is true. So I don't have an opinion really. Yap Kramer says, could you take a look at Osmo? It is a horrible chart. I hope it will bottom though. Well, horrible charts do bottom. It's just they make more bottoms after that. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at you, just at my stupid joke, to be honest. Look, man, this thing's never known what a fucking bottom is. I don't know why you think it's ever going to know what a bottom is, to be honest. It's bad, dude. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. I mean, shit, man. Like, there is no greater sign of just a hopeless shitcoin than going down and only down during a bull market. I'm just pathetic, absolutely pathetic. I think you're more likely to go more down before you even get the next bounce. I think this thing's coming back down to below a cent, to be honest. It very well could be crypto clown world. I'm just saying from a technical point of view, it's not going to look good from that, but I don't fucking know, man. Like that's not my game. Crypto Al says letting them down easy. I mean, I don't know what part of easy is that. Like, I don't think it's, I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. Like if you're looking for a bottom on something like this, it doesn't even rally in a bull market. Like that's pathetic. Uh-oh. And it's going to be in big trouble here if Bitcoin does lose the daily low. Let's see. It's coming back down to 107. It's not so far away now. Let's see what a lower term time frame looks like. This is becoming more and more scary there for the laws, but we'll see. We'll see. Kelso says, hey, Crown, could we take a look at HIMS stock? All right. Sounds like it's in the right month of June. Hims and hers health. You know, probably going to bounce more from here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing bounce around like $50 or so, but long term, not terrible, definitely. Just are you putting in? I'm inclined to say that this thing's going to enter into a long term sideways consolidation, but the next short term move is to the upside, maybe somewhere around $50 or so. Turn the chart upside down. You can always do that. Just Alt plus I, and you got the best chart in the world. Changes all the worst charts into the best charts. Yeah, there's no bottom on that one, man. It's just a bunch of tops on each other. If we're relating this to the gay month, then it's just a bunch of gay dudes on top of each other with no bottom, and that's confusing as fuck. Very, very confusing. Jeff Belbin says, if you were to start trading today with the most simple strategy, simple possible strategy, then what indicators / timeframes would you use if you are a beginner? Okay, this is a great question, man. Okay, you know what? Well, I actually need to think about it a little bit more before I give a good answer, but right now, my initial thought would be, if I was just starting today, the goal is to learn trading, not necessarily make money right now. You shouldn't even be trading real money if you're just learning, because you're just going to lose money, man. Then what would be the best indicators and time frame? I would say don't even focus on indicators to begin with. Focus on an hourly time frame. You'll see things happen like relatively slowly, but they're still happening, you know, every day. And that'll give you time to practice. And I would just go with a simple trend strategy. Honestly, I really would. And if you absolutely must add an indicator, add some moving averages, use a 21 and 55, and just follow the trend and see how trends evolve, and just study that and study that and study more. And then once you feel comfortable with that, then you start to add maybe another indicator, maybe a volatility indicator like the BBWP. But, you know, really, man, I think at the very beginning, you want to be as simple as possible and only add stuff when you have mastered the basics, or just feel very bored with the basics to the point where you can almost guess what's going to happen next. If you can do that, okay, fine. Add something new, look for a new piece of edge. But I would just go with trend at first. Trend is the most important thing for any strategy, in my opinion, especially long-term strategies, obviously. It's the thing that matters most for direction. It's the thing that will be effectively the 80-20 rule of trading. You will get 80% of the results from learning that very, very somewhat simple thing, I guess. But yeah, you know, you don't need to start off with all of the complicated stuff. In fact, the more and more that I do this, the more and more that I really relate everything just back to general trend. It's what matters most. Yeah, it's not that sexy, but it works. It fucking works, man. It really does. Derpenheimer says, sorry, Crown, I meant to include that the negative 26 EMA slope was supposed to be a negative condition to exclude entry. Oh, then so it should be upward slopes. So why don't you just say upward slope? I can try that really quick. But yeah, man, you really can't go wrong with trend. Like, you really can't go wrong with trend. So I'm going to put it positive now. It doesn't change the long-term results that much, but what if we were to just look at like the past 10 years instead of everything? Let's see. Yeah. Let's go to like 2016. Okay, so here is with it on or off. Let me just double check. This is with it on. Okay, you know, not bad. Okay, those are the top end stats. If I turn it off, Still a little bit. If you want to optimize for total P&L, taking it off is going to be a little bit better. Yeah. 21 and 55 EMA or SMA. I've got to go with EMAs for those. But yeah, man, just keep it really, really simple. Like, look, you really don't need to do too much at the beginning. And honestly, unless if you really want to be a low-term time frame trader as a career, then there's just, honestly, just learn fucking trend, man. Stick with that. Be a long-term investor. That's going to be the right thing for 95% of people. And even then, man, like, look, okay, so here's what I did, and I'll explain why I did it like this, and maybe you can like draw some relations for yourself. But for myself, when I was first getting into trading, like I didn't have capital, I didn't have money, right? Like I was working with my mentor and I was trading his account. And so I was learning lower term timeframes because I needed to generate an actual income for to use as equity. But once I actually started to generate like legitimate equities, I started to get more into long-term investing. And when it comes to long-term investing, man, trend it's 99.9% of the game, I think. Yeah. And I think that that's right for most people. And even like at the highest levels of trading, one thing that really stood out to me is that when you look at the richest financial people in the world, they aren't short-term traders. They are long-term holders. But of course, you're not going to get there if you start off with $1,000. Obviously, you need to build it up some way. So that's where building the skill of short-term trading comes in. You can build it up, maybe get up to like 50,000, 100,000. You can do something like that. And then you start to invest that. And then that money will actually start to compound in a meaningful way. But until you get to some sort of a critical mass, something that is relevant to you, you can't you can compound $1, but at 10 or 20% a year, but you're just not going to get that far, right? Ever think how some bear market pullbacks look like the devil's horn? I haven't noticed that personally. Oh, like horn 1 and horn 2. I've never noticed that personally, to be honest, but it's an interesting observation. I'll say that for sure. Yeah. Okay. I think we're gonna end things there, guys. Like I said, no videos this weekend. I might upload some shorts, something like this, but yeah, no videos this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, Bitcoin, right back to kind of where we started this video at, about 107. Again, look, if you see Bitcoin below 106.5, 106.4-ish region, and it's especially closing a daily below there, this is going to be the conditions here for a trap. But until then, hopium still does favor, trends and breakout still do favor the upside. So it's going to be a long day left to go. Again, I don't think much of this price action is really going to matter until we get to today's economic event, PCE data coming out. That's very likely going to either put Bitcoin probably back above yesterday's high or back down below 106.5. Until then, if you're positioning, just be aware you're probably wasting your time, to be honest. So yeah, just want to wish everyone well. Apologies, as always, for the well-intentioned but poorly formed jokes. And we'll be back on next week with some more live stream analysis and some good old fun stuff. And again, thanks for joining in. Take care.